This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Queenpin 2.0, Part 14. Baby, when we left off, Tru was telling the Queen Mother all about how she'd managed to get little Jose locked in. Now, of course, she did not give the Queen Mother the graphic details, especially not in front of Selima and Big Wood. But the Queen Mother wanted to know everything, and she asked, "Are you telling me that one roll in the sack with you pretending to be an inexperienced lover was enough to have that man locked in and willing to risk it all?" Tru said, "No. First, he wasn't in the sack with Tru. He was in the sack with Yael. And it wasn't just that one time." Then Tru laid out how she and Nikki laid the foundation for Yael to give Lil Jose the best sex he'd ever had in his life before he went back to Venezuela. 2 months and 1 week earlier, Lil Jose had removed all of the bugs that he'd placed in the condo when he thought that Tru was leaving Dallas to go to Venezuela with him. When she came up missing, he didn't need those bugs to be there, with his fingerprints on them and possibly able to be traced back to him. But when she told him that the replacement nanny couldn't start for about a week, he decided that while he trusted her now, it was probably best that he put those bugs back. She'd never given him an explanation for her little crying session that he'd witnessed on camera a few weeks back. She'd claimed that she was just going through a lot, reminiscing over the pain that she'd experienced in her previous relationship with the abusive ex-boyfriend. But something about it just didn't ring true to Lil Jose. And that was the first and only time that he'd questioned anything Yael had told him. So after several rounds and Tru was fast asleep, Lil Jose went around the house replacing those bugs. Next morning, he told her that he needed to head back to his hotel because he needed to make some phone calls and conduct some virtual meetings to address some outstanding business back in Venezuela. Little did he know, when he took Yael back to his hotel room, she'd placed bugs of her own. So she knew that he was keeping Big Jose informed about his trip and about Yael's plans to return back to Venezuela with him. He'd also been arguing with his father quite a bit. Lil Jose was in love, and he did not want his woman taken to Colombia as collateral for his father's cooperation with the Morenas. He'd been actively trying to come up with an alternative plan, alternative collateral, or to at least solidify an agreement from Santiago Morena that Yael would be unharmed, that she'd be well taken care of, that nobody would try to sleep with her, and that he'd be able to visit her and make sure she was good. And thus far, Santiago Morena wasn't going. Neither was Big Jose. He was adamant that he did not know this Yael well enough to be this into her. 4 months should not have been enough time for this man to be so invested that he wasn't willing to put her up as collateral. And the fact that Santiago Morena asked for her as collateral was all the proof that he needed that his son was a damn simp. This was the second time that a woman at least 10 years his junior had his nose wide open. And the last time, that woman played him for a damn fool, left him heartbroken and sick, with no explanation, and he had no way to find her. Big Jose said, "Now, when that Talia girl took your money and your heart with her, it took years for you to go back to your old self. And now you're going to let this Yael woman threaten everything that we've built and everything that we're building?" Talia was one of Selima's code names. "I've told you countless times, just marry a quiet, sweet Venezuelan woman. Put her up, have babies with her so that the legacy can continue, and don't do all of this falling in love. It's unnecessary." Lil Jose said, "Poppy, I'm not interested in a loveless marriage like the one that you and my mother had. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I ever even planned to get married." While Lil Jose and Big Jose were having this conversation, though, Yael and Nikki were implementing a plan that was diabolical. Over at the firm, Selima was watching the feed in Lil Jose's room, and Lorenzo was watching the feed at the condo when Waz and Wood walked in. Wood called Lorenzo out of the room so that they could chop it up. He didn't want to see whatever was going on those cameras. So Lorenzo said to Waz, "Can you keep an eye on things for me?" And Waz said, "Sure, no problem." Wise took a seat and looked at Selima and said, "So this is what we doing?" Selima said, "Not right now, Wise. I'm focused." She continued, listening and watching as Lil Jose begged and pleaded with his father to come up with another way to assuage Santiago Morena. And when their call ended and he pulled up the laptop and rewinded the video at the condo, and there was nothing else for Selima to see, she turned to Wise and said, "What's up with you?" Wise said, "Now I'm focused and I can't talk. What the hell they doing?" Lil Jose had rewinded the cameras to Tru and Nikki's initial conversation. But in real time, Wise was watching as Tru and Nikki was doing something very interesting with some pickles. About an hour or so earlier, Tru and Nikki had a staged conversation where Tru had told Nikki that Lil Jose was much more experienced than she was, that she tried to return the oral favor and it was just too difficult, that he did most of the work as they made love overnight, and that she wanted to be able to be the initiator and the aggressor on his last night in Dallas. And Nikki, playing the role of the experienced friend, had given her tips and tricks and showed her positions where to place her hands so that she could take the weight off the balls of her feet when she was on top, how to use the reverse cowgirl to control how much she was taking in. And then she tried to give Tru some tips on how to give fellatio. Then Nikki said, "You know what? Let's just go to the corner store. We're going to go to the pickle jar and you're going to pick out a pickle that's reminiscent of what you're working with. And then we'll come back here and I'll show you how to deep throat." Tru and Nikki left and came back with pickles. Believe it or not, there are still corner stores in the hood where they sell pickles out the jar, pickled eggs and pig feet. So Tru meticulously picked out a pickle that was about the girth of Lil Jose. And back at the condo, Nikki and Tru had a lesson on how to give a man pleasure without choking and gagging. And they made sure to place themselves in bird's eye view of the camera. Wise looked at Selima and said, "This what y'all be doing? This how y'all learn how to do what y'all do?" Selima looked at Wise and said, "Sometimes you gotta get creative. But that's all for show." Then she showed him on her laptop where Lil Jose had fast-forwarded the video and he was watching the very same thing. Wise said, "Oh, y'all chicks is diabolical, ain't it?" Selima said, "Folks do what they can. We do what we do." Wise said, "No wonder Wood been on one." Selima said, "I don't know why. He know what's up. He know the drill. He is not new to this. I'm gonna have to have a talk with him." Wise said, "Well, before you have a talk with him, don't you think you should have one with me?" Selima said, "About what?" Wise said, "I haven't even seen you since I ran into you at that karaoke bar where you practically ignored me. I call, you don't answer. You call back when you feel like it. And when you do, you're distracted. I thought we had a good time in Venezuela. I thought we were enjoying getting to know one another." Selima said, "We did have a good time in Venezuela. And you're a cool cat, but I'm not sure what else you want from me. I'm not looking for anything serious. I told you that." Wise said, "And I understand that, but I didn't realize that meant we was going to be one and done. That you would be in and out of town and not even hit me." Selima said, "What do you want, Wise?" Wise said, "You?" Selima said, "Well, right now I'm on a job. I'm running the job. And when I'm doing that, I'm all in and I'm focused. So I don't have time for no niggas. Not you or no other ones." See, that's the problem with men. That's precisely what got Lil Jose in the situation he in right now. Y'all don't know how to stay focused. Y'all like dogs chasing cats. I don't juggle. I focus. Work comes first. D and everything else second. So don't call me. I'll call you. I'll hit you when I'm free. And if you're available, we could kick it. If you're not, cool." Wise said, "So let me get this right. I'm supposed to be on your time, shorty?" Selima said, "You gonna have to get in where you fit in. It's my world." Wise said, "I'm good on that. You be easy." Selima said, "Let me find out you and your feelings. Nigga, I'm trying to build an empire. I'm trying to run one of the largest, most dangerous criminal organizations in the world. I ain't got time to pacify you, hold your hand, or babysit you. Acting like a baby is not attractive. You're not in the NICU. I can't give you skin to skin. Mommy got work to do." Wise said, "Sound to me like you the one in your feelings. You trying to get a reaction out of me, shorty. It's not gonna happen. And I ain't trying to stop your motion. While I'm not in the business that you in, understand it. I know what it takes to do what you're trying to do. I also know that it can't be all work and no play. You're not going to be able to do what you're trying to do while continuing to have superficial relationships and jump-offs and hookups. You ain't going to be able to continue having niggas followed and checking my charts, at least not long term. And I don't even know if I want to be your man. So you ain't got to worry that I'm trying to press you for that. But I left Venezuela thinking we was on something, thinking that you was the kind of woman that I could potentially build something with. And right now, you just telling me that I was wrong, that you selfish and short-sighted, and you willing to cut your nose off to spite your face. And in the long run, that's gonna cost you. But don't worry about it, shorty, because you're gonna need me before I'm gonna need you. And then Wise left the room. Salima said, Lorenzo asked you to watch this camera. Wise said, you got it. You ain't got nothing else to do. Salima was tight because Wise had pulled her card. She hadn't been avoiding him because she was busy with work. She had needs, physical and emotional ones. And after their weekend in Venezuela, she was left feeling fulfilled and full. And not a man she'd met before or since had made her laugh, gotten her to just open up, made her feel comfortable enough to relax into herself, was as good at chess as he was. And while he was all gangster, that man was well read. He was quoting Nietzsche and Giovanni, and he could hold a conversation about more things than just sex and thugging. He was dangerous and deep, and she was loving it a little too much. So she decided that she needed to put some distance between herself and Wise. There were just way too many reasons why he could not and should not be the one, and she was resistant to a system that required, in order for a woman to be the head, that she had to have a husband who was on board. She forgot that that same requirement applied to men too. But in her mind, it was easier for a man to find a wife who would be down with the program. She figured that eventually a man would pressure her to get out of the business, or he'd try to weasel his way in it, knock her off the throne and take over. He'd try to keep her barefoot in the winter and pregnant in the summer. And she had too much of her mother in her for that. Later that evening, little Jose picked up Tru, took her for a candlelight dinner, and back to his hotel to spend the night. And that night, Tru said, so listen, I know this is going to sound weird, but I need to tell you something. Little Jose said, go ahead, baby. No judgment here. Tru said, so I told Nikki about what we did last night, and I asked her for some help. Little Jose said, help with what? You ain't need no help. It was great. Tru said, I know, but I feel like I was just kind of laying there and you did all the work. I mean, I did the best that I could, but you're clearly more experienced than I am, and I don't want to lose you to some woman who can rock your world. Lil Jose said, you don't have to worry about any of that. I'll get you up to speed. Don't worry. Tru said, I'm sure you will, over time. But Nikki taught me some stuff, and I want to try it. Is that okay? Lil Jose said, hell yeah, let's get it. And then Yael almost perfectly executed everything that Nikki taught her in her little lesson. And since Lil Jose had watched said lesson, he was certainly under the impression that Yael, was a quick study. He was thinking to himself, oh, baby girl is teachable. I'm gonna have a good time teaching her how to please me, and a good time pleasing her too. And Tru was thinking, this fool about to be in love. By the time Tru was done doing her big one, Lil Jose was sprung. His mind was made up. He was going to absolutely figure out a way to keep his woman safe. By the time she arrived in Venezuela the following week, his plan would be cemented. There was no way in hell he was going to allow the Morenas to lay a single solitary finger on Yael. Little did he know, Salima and her crew had a plan in place to ensure that if anything happened to Yael, something would happen to him. Salima pulled Big Wood to the side and said, come here, let's talk. Behind closed doors, she said, what the hell is going on with you and Tru? Woody said, mind your business. Salima said, come on now. What happened? After that day that you was in here tripping off that video and you asked us not to say anything, you've been different and so has she. And neither of you want to talk about it. I need to know what's up, because I got to keep this girl safe. And I might need you to help me do that. Big Wood said, you know that you can always count on me. But I'm not discussing my personal business with you. She made a choice. She chose this job. She chose the business. And one thing I'm never going to do is try to make a woman change her mind. Salima said, I've been getting to know her. And I think that it's safe for me to say that she's the type of person. Big Wood cut her off and said, I don't need you to tell me what kind of person she is. I know her. I know why she did what she did. And I know why she did it, how she did it. What jams my clock is that she couldn't be honest with herself or with me. Salima said, I hate this for both of y'all. Y'all could be so good together. Big Wood said, stay out of it, Slim. Let her do what she gotta do. She gotta work through that alone. And then he walked out the room. Big Wood left the firm and headed to the airport. He needed to go home. He needed to see the one woman in the world, other than his favorite girl, his deceased grandmother, who had the power to heal his heart without him ever saying a word.